Hi everyone, I hope all of you are doing well. So we are going to have a session on 6 months to CAT strategy. So any questions, queries, concerns that you may have, any doubts, feel free to ask me. I'll be very happy if I can answer your questions. So I of course don't have any presentations or anything, just pure ask me anything session. So let me know if there's anything that you want to ask. Okay. If there are no questions, then of course I'll be starting with like a very generic framework that somebody can follow for CAT preparation. So how do you structure the next 6 months? So that is something that I will cover. But I'll appreciate if you have any questions and then you can share it so that we can have more directed conversation around it. Okay. So first question, generally a lot of students have is whether 6 months is sufficient or not. And the answer to that is very simple. 6 months or 3 months or 4 months or 5 months, right? Or even more. Uh, it's not an issue of what is that number, right? Whether it is 6 months, 5 months, or 4 months. Whatever time you get, how you use that time ultimately depends, everything depends on it. Right? So if I have 3 months, but I'm able to use pretty much all of it, 3 months is going to be sufficient. Versus if I have, let's say, 6 months and I end up studying, let's say, 2.5, 3 hours every single day, it is still going to be sufficient. The other thing is, where are you coming from? So what sort of a background do you have? Do you have any sort of prep background? Have you done any competitive exam prep in the past? Because it's a skill that maybe you already picked up, right? So how do you prepare for a competitive exams? Most competitive tests have similar structuring. Of course, the nature of competition, the format, the marking scheme, all of those things can be different. But fundamentally, if you have done any sort of aptitude preparation in the past, that is always going to be useful to you. So whether you have 6 months or 5 months or 4 months, that's going to be sufficient. And if you have some background that you carry, right, it is going to help you. What about students who don't have any background? So you may be somebody who has never done any competitive test preparation. Will you still be able to prepare for the CAT and do well on the test? The answer is yes. It does that you'll have to figure out where are the gaps and maybe work on certain areas more compared to the other areas that are out there. So when I was a student, for example, and I just started my CAT preparation, I knew that, okay, I'm reasonably good at maths. That's not going to be a very big concern for me. Of course, even I had to study a lot to get better. But then that wasn't a very big concern when I just started. But for me, it was very evident from the beginning itself that my VRC wasn't very strong. I had to do a lot of reading to, first of all, improve my vocabulary and then reach to a situation where, okay, I could understand a lot of things and then get the questions correct. However, I also realized that when because I loved maths, I ended up spending too much time on it. So I used to over-index on my maths compared to my VRC, which kind of didn't really prove to be very useful when the final CAT happened. And that's a mistake that people should not make, right? So one mistake that you should avoid over the next 6 months is going to be not falling in love with one particular section and then just overdoing it, and having a balance, right? So figure out, okay, do I need to keep sort of equal distribution in terms of how much time I'm spending, and if I have to adjust that a little bit. So that depends, right? So you will have to figure that out, and once you start taking mocks, it becomes a little easy to identify where the gaps really are. A question from Siddhi Bhanushali. So how do we start preparing for DLR? It feels very intimidating to start practicing DLR. Okay, so very good question. So DLR, though we generally say that DLR has no syllabus as such, right? There are certain building blocks that exist, and then there are certain types of questions that exist. You have to take care of the building blocks and the type of questions. Okay, what I mean by that is, so okay, let's understand what is a building block. If I give you a particular information, right, how do you begin solving that particular thing, right? So what are the things that you need to know? For example, if I tell you, okay, there are 10 people living in a building and there is some information about it, right? So somebody is a doctor, somebody is an engineer, and so on, and they drive different color cars and they have traveled to, say, different cities and all of that. And then there is information that somebody is from a particular city or somebody is not from a particular city. Now, because it's a building, right, the floors are going to be numbered from the bottom, right? So the numbering will start from the bottom. So it's going to be okay. If let's say it has a ground floor, then you start with okay, ground 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. You will not start writing it as ground 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So the ground will be at the ground. So it's a very fundamental logical thing that you need to know, right? Another thing, for example, is understanding anything which is given in the form of a graphical representation. Let's say a bar chart is given to you or a pie chart is given to you. Then knowing that, okay, a pie chart is basically a circle and that is why it will have 360 degrees. So if I have sectors, something is, let's say, 36 degrees, it is 1/10 of the entire thing. So if I'm talking in terms of percentage, it is going to be 1/10, which is 10%. So these are sort of building blocks to the whole thing, right? So for DLR, the building blocks are required, which is part of partially, I would say, logic, and partially is going to be your percentages, averages, ratios, etc. So even before you do DLR, you will have to be uh, a little bit comfortable, I would say, with percentages, averages, and ratios. These three things are very important to be good at data interpretation. So focus on these three topics: averages, percentages, and ratios. The other thing is type of questions. So 2 set when, 3 set when, 4 set when diagrams, tournament, right? Knockout format, let's say binary logic sets. So then there are types of questions. If you look at, let's say, last several years of CAT, right, you will see that there is, it's not a very clear line between what is D and what is LR. Those lines are blurred. Every DI set is going to have some sort of a logical condition to it, and every logical set will have some sort of data in it, right? So the lines are blurring. So you typically not get like a very classic DI set or a classic LR set. It's an overlap that will happen. But if I look at all of these, I understand that if I take care of the building blocks and the type of questions, I should be able to solve most of them, right? It is going to require a lot of practice. So from now, say 6 months, roughly 180 days, if I look at it, and I end up doing, let's say, 2 to 3 sets every day, correct? On some days, I can do even more, right? So if I do on average 3 sets, and you do end up, let's say, doing 500 odd sets, that's a good enough exposure. And that can come from your SIMCATs, your proctored SIMCATs, take-home SIMCATs, the sets that you have in your courseware, and the past CAT papers, right? I mean, imagine doing past CAT papers from, let's say, if you do even last 5 years, if somebody ends up doing it, you're going to have so many sets that you will solve, and that will help you to tackle more sets. So every SIMCAT that you take, right, you have to look at it as a learning opportunity, that maybe I'll be able to figure out, okay, what was the easiest set, do that. And there will be some sets which are completely not doable on that day while you are taking SIMCATs. But as you do more and more practice, you will get to a situation where you know that, okay, I know that, okay, this is something that can be done, this is something that cannot be done. And if I decide to do something, this is how it is done, right? So logic part of it will start getting stronger as you do more and more sets. Okay, so right now I would say just keep practicing, and every set, right, after you are done with a set, and this is like a small tip that you can use, after every set, try and explain it to yourself. Okay, so set you're solved. If you are able to solve, great. If you're not able to solve, you go through the explanation. After you've completed that set, just sit for maybe 5 minutes and explain that set to you as to how do you go about solving this particular thing, right? And that will help you. Okay. Chris Chill has written, it's VRC for me. So again, I was scared of VRC when I was a student because my accuracy was terrible when it comes to RCs. I mean, if you attempt, let's say, 4 or 5 questions, maybe I used to get maybe 1 or 2 questions correct. So I was terrified of VRC as a section, primarily because of the RC accuracy that I had. But then I was also a very average reader, I would say. See, the key to get better at VRC is to read more. And it sounds very cliche that you read more, then only you will improve. And you also have to look at it from the angle of it's not only about your reading skill, it is also about your ability to understand what you're reading. Okay? So your comprehension matters and the logic also matters. So when you read something, are you able to fully comprehend it or not? That's the underlying principle. You have to check that. If you're not able to understand, you will not be able to answer. So your accuracy is going to be bad if your understanding is faulty. So As I said, though it sounds cliche that you read more, you will have to do that. There is no other way to get better at it. Suddenly, you will not get better at PRC. But if you, let's say, do dedicated RC practice or dedicated reading over, let's say, next 30, 45 days, you will have reasonable skills improvement, right? So you might reach, let's say, from say a 50% accuracy at this point of time to maybe a 55, 60% accuracy. Improvement across all the areas is going to be gradual, whether it is quant or VRC or DLR. So you have to be patient, right? It's not like you plant a seed today and tomorrow you are going to have a plant, right? It's not like that. So the same is true for all of these sections. You will have to spend time, then only you will get the returns. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Finding geometry really tough and time taking. This is from Vaishnavi. Okay, so one key principle which helps a lot of students is if you try and understand it, uh, go behind in terms of what every concept is, right? So let's say, for example, I give you area of equilateral triangle, right? So we say, okay, fine, root 3 by 4 into side square. Now the question is, why root 3 by 4 into side square? See, one way is you just mug the formula, right? That this is what it is, right? So I'm mugging up that, okay, area of triangle, equilateral triangle, root 3 by 4 into side square. But have I understood it why it is that way? Now, if I look at equilateral triangle, all angles are 60 degrees, right? Now, if I drop a perpendicular from that vertex, I'm going to have the altitude, if you look at it, or the height of that triangle, or the median, that is opposite to 60 degrees. So it's going to be root 3 by 2 times the hypotenuse, right? So it is going to be root 3 by 2 times the side. So what is the area of any triangle? Half into base into height. So it's going to be half into root 3 by 2 times the side into another side, which is the base. So that is how you get root 3 by 4 into side square. So if you go this deep, if you take this path of figuring out why something is happening, everything will start becoming interesting. The problem is that with quant, a lot of students don't take interest in the subject, right? So ultimately, whatever you pick, right? So I was talking to somebody, one of my friends, who is from economics background. So I was talking about time series analysis and panel data analysis and so on. And I'm like, how do you people do this? I mean, it is such a dry subject. But then he said that, I mean, this is what I like doing, right? Because I find it interesting. So I end up studying it more, and that's how I enjoy it. But because there is no motivation for me to do, let's say, a time series or a panel data analysis right now, I'm going to find all the literature around it to be pretty boring, right? Pretty dry to read. So you have to take interest in the subject. So if you learn everything with that intent, that okay, fundamentally you have to understand what is happening, you will not forget it for a longer period of time. So then you actually know that, okay, these are the principles that I can use to solve a particular question. So that is why I would suggest that you try and dig deep a little bit, figure out why a formula exists, why a particular equation is given to you, and why a particular shortcut is given to you. Okay? So all shortcuts also have clear foundation in the fundamentals. They just don't come. They don't come just like that. So because you can generalize it, you get a shortcut, right? So that is how you have to look at each and everything that you come across. One is you will have to buy heart some things for sure, and that revision has to happen multiple times. So if I, let's say, do laws of indices today, I'm studying for the very first time. Then after 7 days, I revisit it. After another maybe 10 days, you revisit it. After another 20 days, you revisit it. So that is important because you tend to forget things. So you have to record and sort of revisit that so that you will be able to retain it for a longer period of time. And active recall is what you will have to do. So when you do, let's say, second or third iteration of a particular topic containing, say, n number of formulae, I will have to, let's say, maybe close the book and ask myself, okay, what is a raised to m, the bracket raised to n? What is a raised to m raised to n? What's the difference between the two, right? Or what is the change of base formula? So these are the things that I'll have to ask myself to study. So you can just study, improve your study techniques a little bit better, and that will help you to retain things for a longer period of time. Okay. All right. Question from SB Prep 1. For first time takers regarding this timeline, should we leave some area of QA? If I don't want to leave, give a number of questions we should practice on a daily basis and how much DLR RC sets. Okay. So firstly, don't leave anything, right? Don't skip anything at this point of time. See, because if you start with that thought in your mind that, okay, I'm going to drop, say, permutation combination, it is going to be a problem because in all the SimCATs, you're going to get some or the other question from permutation and combination, so you will not solve it. Even on the CAT day, you might get some easy questions from permutation combination and you will still not be able to solve it. So instead of this, right, because you have 6 months, for the next 4 months out of 6 months, or maybe even 5 months, I will study everything with equal enthusiasm. Right? So I will not drop anything. In the last 1 month, you can always say that I have done enough to now understand, hey, I'm very good at algebra, I'm very good at geometry, but PNC is where the struggle is. It means that that's not going to be my round one. But if at all I get easy questions, I'll still be able to handle it. If I get something which is moderate or difficult, I'm anyway going to skip it. So that is why you should do all the areas. Don't skip anything. It's a very bad strategy to follow, especially with 6 months. Now, if you look at the number of questions that somebody can do, I would say about 2 to 3 DLR sets, or maybe 4. You can consider on average 3 sets. About 3 RCs, maybe 10 to 15 VA questions, and about 25 to 30 quant questions. Generally, that works for most of the students, right? So it's like an advice that can be given to anybody. However, depending on your skill, you may want to increase or reduce this number, but that is a completely individual call. So you look at your SimCATs, your module test scores, or your performance in class, etc., and then take a call as to what you want to do. Right? See, if you do this much, let's say you do 30 questions of quant, maybe 3 sets of DLR every day, right? And let's say you do 3 RCs, right? So you're doing what, 24 plus 30, 54 plus another 10 VA, 64 odd questions a day. Let's take 60 questions. So if somebody does 60 questions a day, for which you might require anywhere between 4 to 5 hours or less, depending on the complexity. Let's say you do this much effort, right? Now you're looking at, say, 180 days into 60, right? So that exposure is going to be huge. Now, I know on all days this is not going to happen. So I'm saying, let's say 80% of this might happen, correct? That exposure is still huge for CAT. So you will be somewhere around, what, 8,000 plus questions. Is that good enough? Answer is yes. So even if you do 80% of what you plan for, you should still have reasonable success. The point is, it's very difficult to sit and solve questions. Everything looks good on paper, but it's very difficult to execute. How to manage all the subjects along with my job is what Vikram is asking. Vikram, that's again a very good question, and one thing that I would acknowledge is that it's a complete struggle to do that, right? But if everything, let's say, in life was handed over to you on a platter, you would not have appreciated a lot of things, right? So I would say this also is something that you will appreciate, that okay, I ended up putting in a lot of effort. Along with my job, I was able to manage things and so on. So one advice is to look at your phone or your screen time, right? Because that is currently the number one activity that people indulge in. So you should, it's not productive. So that's why you have to remove it. So you can reduce that, which means, let's say you go home from work and then you switch off your phone and you put all your attention to one thing, which is CAT preparation. Correct. Even if you're able to do this, let's say 5 days of the week, you will still have a far better outcome than somebody who is doom scrolling endlessly on their phone. Correct. So first is going to be identifying any activity. It could be phone, it could be social media, it could be something else. So reducing or removing those aspects is very crucial, because then you create more time for yourself. Okay. See, if your phone is telling you that you're spending 2 hours every day on your phone, even if you reduce it by 50%, you have created additional 1 hour that you can use for CAT preparation. So I'm not saying you have to become a monk, a completely isolated kind of a person, but you should just reduce whatever you're doing, which is not value adding, something that is not helping you to get better at CAT, and start replacing that. If you take a bus, you travel to work, Instead of going through your phone, you can maybe read something, read a book or a magazine, solve quant questions if that is possible. Correct. Even if let's say somebody says, okay, I don't get to sit when I travel, maybe you can listen to some good podcasts which will improve your English skills. So anything and everything that you do will help you to get better at that. So do that, find more time, stick to whatever you plan. Don't think that you'll be able to study on the weekend, because that typically does not happen. And that is why you'll have to create enough opportunity during the week as well. So even if you do 2 hours every day, or let's say 1 hour every day, 5 days of the week, you're able to do, let's say, 1.5 hours every day. That's about 5 to 7.5 hours of effort. And then on the weekends, you do 6 hours, right? So that is 12. So now you are closer to, I would say, about 20 hours of effort, which is as good as somebody who is studying 6 days of the week doing 3 hours every day, correct? So you will have to put slightly more effort on the weekends and a little bit of consistent effort on the weekdays to manage this, but it is manageable. You have to remove distractions. I mean, there's nothing. It's not very difficult. It's just that the algorithms that all of these companies have, it kind of pulls you back. Right? So you will keep scrolling. Now, luckily, I think on YouTube they have added this thing, right, that you can limit how many shorts it will show you. So you can set that, okay, show me shorts only for 5 minutes, and after that it will not show you. So maybe you'll have to take some actions like these. Okay, T Sharma 1027 was planning to upgrade, but even before that, my test series has disabled and I haven't received any response from your team. Please look into this issue. Okay, so please raise a ticket for this, because I don't handle the tickets directly as such, but please raise a ticket, and via that somebody will help you out. Is it possible for you to please share your timetable if you were working during your prep? Is what Rishabh is asking. Okay, so Rishabh, two things. For my first attempt, I was a student. So when I took my first attempt of CAT, I was a final year student. So it was much easier to prepare that way. Used to have a morning college, and then I used to go for my classes. And I was one of those who basically just sit there, right? So that was my hangout spot, so to say, because I had another friend who was preparing with me, and we used to be just at the center. So something like 2 to 4 used to be my classes, but we used to be at the center till like 6:30, 7, solving questions, discussing problems, and all of that. So that definitely helped for my first attempt. For my second attempt, I was in a similar environment. So though I was working, but I was working in test prep. So I benefited a lot from that. But I generally don't recommend people to do that, because it becomes a little difficult to justify to panel members. So you might find it to be like a very convenient option from a scoring in a B school entrance perspective, but it's not a very great thing to do from a interview perspective. So I generally don't recommend it to people. But let's say even if I were working right in some other job, I would have done the same thing that I told you, which is finding some opportunity that will help you. So take out more time. That's it. Replace anything that is not valuable. Retaker here got 95 percentile last year. This is Chris Chill. 95 percentile last year with zero prep. That's very good. And I need 99.5. Can you briefly suggest a daily routine for the next 6 months? So it depends, right? I mean, if you're a working professional, it will be different. If you're a student, it will be different. But figure out whether you want to take out time in the morning, in the evening, afternoon, night, whatever is available, and then just exploit that. Harsh, I practice quants daily, but still my marks are not improving. So Harsh, few things, right? One is, just because you put in more hours doesn't mean that your score will be better. Okay, so that there is correlation between, okay, the efforts put in and the result, but it's not going to be like the correlation value is not going to be one. That it's not a direct correlation. So for a brief period of time, it will happen that even though you're putting efforts, it is not translating into a score. Why that is happening is because the exposure has not hit a particular place where you are super confident in that particular topic. So if let's say you have done, say, percentages, right? I would say, how many percentages questions have you solved? If you have done, say, 40, 50 questions, you may not be able to solve everything. But if you've done, let's say, 150 questions or percentages of mixed difficulty, it's very likely that you will be able to solve the next question that you will encounter. In something like a geometry or a PNC, that number is much higher. For example, maybe 300, 400 questions of geometry, post which you really start understanding how to do geometry questions. So that is why in some topics, you will be able to achieve mastery faster compared to other topics. I would say it's okay if you're not able to do that. So this should not stop you from putting in the effort that you're putting. Everybody has a learning curve, and the slope of that learning curve is going to be different for different people. So take your time, but if you're understanding everything clearly that you're doing, right, and you know that, okay, this is how things are done, sooner or later, you will be able to see improvement in your score, right? It may happen in the next 1 month, it may take 2 months, we don't know. But understand everything from first principles, understand everything very, very clearly, and improvement will happen. See, if you look at ratios, for example, right? Ratios is such a beautiful, important thing. I mean, even in life, you will encounter a lot of situations where you end up using concepts that you study in ratios, right? So you have to look at problems and appreciate what the problems are trying to tell you. Most people look at quant as if it is a very dull topic, and that is why the improvement does not happen, even though they're solving questions. The other thing is, uh, when you start doing quant, your level is like, I see a question, I know the formula, I start solving, I do step by step, and I hit the answer. To get better at quant, you have to skip a lot of steps in between and see, okay, can I generalize? Can I reduce the scale of the problem? Can I, let's say, use options? What sort of formulae or shortcuts exist for this kind of a problem? So I have to think slightly more before I can arrive at like the position where I say, okay, fine, I'm really good at quant. Let me give you an example. Let's say there is uh, there's this classic question, right? That a boy is standing at the top of a building and then drops a ball. Now you know that it rebounds to whatever some fraction is given to the height from which it has fallen. What will be the total distance that it covers before it comes to rest? Okay. Now most of the students will know, okay, sum infinity, a upon 1 minus r and all of that. But let's say, what if I give you this problem as uh, it does not, I mean, it bounces whatever to a certain fraction. After 10 such bounces, what is the total distance? Now, has anything changed in the question? Yes, you can't use s infinity a upon 1 minus r, but it is still, if you look at it, what is happening? It is a geometric progression for which there is a formula. Can you apply that formula? Yes. But because, let's say, I'm asking after 10 bounces, it's almost going, that fraction is going to be so negligible that it is as good as using S infinity. So if you do S infinity, you will still be able to approximately get it right. So that understanding, that developing that sort of insight about the problem is what you'll have to focus on. And then only you get very, very good at quant. Okay. Maithili, how to go about quant section is in strategy like timeline regarding syllabus, daily average questions, and mocks. Okay. So most of it I've already discussed, but one thing that I will definitely mention is you should focus on arithmetic as the first thing that you handle. Numbers and arithmetic, if you can handle that, and if you can alongside manage algebra, number, arithmetic, algebra more or less covers most of the things. Geometry, a lot of people find it to be difficult, so that's why I would recommend you to not start with geometry. You can definitely start with arithmetic because it's more user friendly, so to say. Percentages, for example, ratios, averages. Most of us have dealt with these kind of things even in real life, so we know how to handle it. So that's why I start with arithmetic. If there is one or two topics that you find difficult, you can always do them later. But arithmetic is like the first focus area. And out of 5 areas, you have to be good at 3. So out of numbers, arithmetic, algebra, geometry, PNC probability, out of 5, choose 3 areas where you have to be you want to be really good. Focus a lot on them, become the best that you can, The other two areas you should be able to manage if there are questions. All right. Is it necessary to give tests every day and how to analyze those tests? This is from Siddhi. So, no, everyday test taking is not required. But see, when you say test, right, full length test, definitely you should not be taking one every day. You will burn out. Total full length test that one should take prior to CAT, I would say, is that number is somewhere in the range of 40 to 50, which will be good enough for most of the candidates. That can come from a combination of SIMCATs and PassCAT papers. So if you just do these two, PassCAT papers and SIMCATs, you will hit that number. Now, if you have 6 months, you will gradually increase the volume. So it's not that in this month, in May end or June, you will end up doing, let's say, out of 50 mocks, let's say if you're planning, out of 50, you will not do 1/6 of that. Right? So you're not going to do 8 in this month. So follow the schedule of SIMCATs, the proctored SIMCATs, add take-home SIMCATs whenever you can, and add PassCAT papers starting August. So August onwards, that volume will increase. Till then, the volume can be, I would say, about 4 tests in a month. That's decent enough. But August onwards, you'll have to increase it. But if you look at other tests, benchmarking test, module test, section test, I would say those you will have to do every day. So maybe you can do, let's say, for example, benchmarking test, right? It's a pretty short thing to do. So I can actually finish maybe 2 or 3 benchmarking tests in a day. Okay? But that doesn't mean that you chase that number. What you should do is, okay, am I ready first of all to take a benchmarking test? So if you have done, say, class exercise, practice exercise, just take benchmarking test of the topic and finish it off. That will not take a lot of time. Test plus analysis, maybe let's say 1 hour. Right? I should definitely plan for section test and module test. So every day I should do some sort of test taking. Right? It may be timed, it may be without a timer. So let's say even doing practice exercises online in my IMS, you see a timer at the top, right? That also is good enough. See, because ultimately what we are trying to do is we are trying to solve questions in with certain time measurement. Either it's a time test or it is untimed, but I can still see that, okay, for this question, this is the time that I've spent. Why? Because you have to, your brain has to get used to it. A lot of students I have seen, they are not very comfortable with, so they'll say, okay, I'm able to solve this question if there is no time pressure. But if there is time pressure, I'm not able to solve the question. Why does that happen is because you haven't done it enough number of times. Say if you think of going into unknown environments, right? Most of the people will have some sort of anxiety around it. But do you feel anxious at home? No. If you, let's say, go to college every day, do you feel anxious at your college? No. But the moment I say, okay, you have to go to college, today there is going to be a placement interview. Suddenly that anxiety will come in because you are not doing it every day. So that is the beauty of test taking, that the more tests you take, the more time you spend by sitting at one place and practicing questions, it becomes second nature. It becomes a part of routine. And then that anxiety starts going down. So that's why, that is another reason why you should be doing it. Okay. SB Prep, what are some common things you find with 99 percentilers that separates them from others? Definitely awareness, right? So awareness of who you are as an individual, what the test is evaluating, how exactly to get to that particular score. So that awareness is something that most 99 percentilers have. See, skill in terms of a particular topic, right? That somebody can develop with a lot of practice. But this understanding, right, is something you have to really push yourself or force yourself maybe to develop that sort of curiosity, understanding, that keen sense. All of those things you have to work on. It naturally will not happen. Right? So, are you, say, an inquisitive person? If I tell you a formula, do you go backwards and try and find, okay, why this particular thing exists? Right? A lot of people, for example, would simply accept the derangement formula as it is. But if I tell you the derangement formula, and now you start thinking, okay, why is this formula like this? Can I at least read up a little bit more? Not the derivation of the formula. Maybe I'll not even understand it, but some backdrop around it. And that will help you to become slightly aware about what the topic is. So 99 percentile is definitely awareness. The other thing is, yes, they end up putting effort. Nothing is going to happen magically. So just because I think I can get a 99 percentile, I'm not going to get it. But my actions, if they are in that direction, maybe it will happen. Even if it does not happen, I'll still be happy that I've put in the effort. See, my advice to people is that you should not have regret. That, oh, I should have tried, I should have done better, I should have prepared more. The moment after CAT you say, I should have prepared more, it means that you are living with a regret. But if you say, okay, I did the best that I could have, and then whatever outcome happens, happens. Right? So then there's no regret. That is the ideal position to be in. Okay. T Sharma 1027. I'm very sorry you had that experience, but I don't know anything about the ticket that you're talking about. So please reach out to either raise a ticket again or reply on the old ticket, or please call up the helpline. So if you have inquired at online, you can just call up again, or if you have inquired at a center, just reach out to the center. What to do if I solve around 200 questions in each topic of arithmetic? I cannot solve every arithmetic question in mock. No, so again, it's not a volume thing necessarily, right? Just because I've done 200 questions doesn't mean that I'll be able to solve everything that I come across. But will I be able to solve most of the questions? Yes. Okay. Now, those 200 questions that you have done, if I ask you any one question from that set randomly, will you be able to answer the question? If not, it means that you haven't done those questions thoroughly. A lot of times students come and say, I've done module 1. My thing is, okay, if I open the book right now, point to a question, will you be able to tell me how to answer this? If not, then you haven't done it. Okay, so every question that you do, you'll also have to retain that question. Not like the exact values and stuff, the wording, but how to solve that question. So that understanding, if it is not there, it will not translate to a good score. My SIMCAT scores have been dropping with just 3 SIMCAT, so don't worry, it's too early. I'm putting in effort, but every SIMCAT it feels I'm not prepared enough. That prepared enough phrase that you have used, right? I would say over the next 6 months, you have to reach a situation where you feel adequately prepared, or that you have prepared enough. So you have 6 months. It's not that CAT is tomorrow. If you're not feeling prepared today, it's completely fine. Over the next 6 months, you have to reach that stage. So I would say even in August, you will not have super confidence feeling. Even in September, you will not have that. But maybe in October, maybe in November. And that is the objective that you should have. So don't worry if the scores are fluctuating. See, score fluctuation is also a function of the difficulty of the test. The test is difficult, people will struggle, and the scores will be on the lower side. So that's okay. And don't worry about percentile also. But the way to evaluate your SIMCAT performance is this, that okay, I have done, say, module 1, or I have done module 1 and module 2 thoroughly. All question types that appeared from module 1 and module 2, I was able to solve. Or at least I was able to identify these questions, decide which ones to solve whatever I could correctly. That is a better way to evaluate your SIMCAT performance. But don't say, okay, fine, I could not do any permutation combination. But have you even reached that topic? If not, then why were you wasting your time in SIMCAT solving that particular question? So anything that is not worth attempting, either because it is too difficult or because you haven't done it, should not be done in SIMCAT. So look at it from that lens. Your disappointment will be a bit lower. I'm sure, and this is, by the way, nobody is happy with their SIMCAT performances. I haven't met anybody who says, oh, I did very well on the SIMCAT. Because there's always a room for improvement. Even a 99 percentiler would be like, okay, I got a 99. I could have got a 99.5, for example. So nobody's like happy with SIMCATs, and they are not even there to make you happy. We are not here to make you happy, right? We are here to help you prepare and reach a situation where after the test and after the interviews, you end up becoming happy. Hopefully, that good. So yeah, don't worry about SIMCAT scores too much right now. It's okay. I am a GEM candidate. This is from Harsh. Scored 92.6 in CAT, 87 in ZAT. Was not able to clear quant sectional. Converted 4 LBSIM because of family business. Should I join this or repeat? Okay. Firstly, the profile, because of the 2-year gap, etc. I would say the profile. Even if you wait for 1 more year, you will need either a very high CAT percentile to sort of compensate for it, right? So 4 LBSM are not bad options. What I would suggest is you talk to a few students who have graduated from these two places, look at the placement outcomes, and if you believe that this placement outcome is in line with what I want to have, you go to the B school and don't regret that decision. If for whatever reason you feel that, okay, this is not what I want in life and I want to give it one more try, you please go ahead and do it. But you should definitely start working. Okay, so please start working, and that will kind of help you bridge the not bridge the gap, I would say, but at least cover it up a little bit. Okay, something has happened to the light suddenly, so I don't know, but anyway, we'll continue. uh, is gap year a big problem? Not really. I mean, if you're just graduated, right? Let's say you graduated in 26, then it's definitely not a problem. Okay. I mean, if you're taking CAT 26, you've graduated in 26, it's not a problem. So yeah, I think a lot of questions from Harini, Harsh, Siddhi were in that line. That what about having a gap year? It's okay. I mean, if you're graduated in 26, not a problem. Hariharan, I'm agri student with 999 almost. I have completed arithmetic and numbers. Now, should I practice arithmetic and numbers June month, and what should I aim for? Should I go for PGDM, ABM, or other PGP? Hariharan, you have to keep your options open. So I would say don't only focus on ABM kind of programs. So focus on everything, like across the board. Uh, Normal PGP, PGDM programs, as well as the ABM programs that are out there. It's just that for ABM, you will have natural advantage. You are more suited as a candidate. So definitely keep those options with you. But yeah, profile looks decent. So arithmetic numbers, if you have done at this point of time, I think that's a good progress. So continue to put in effort, cover the other topics as well. Please give some discount for SIM cards. Okay. So see, with SIM cards, we have already put the pricing to be very competitive. And if you look at the features, for example, we also now have the AI insights on SIM cards, which is an additional feature this year. If you look at the program features, you will see that the benefits that you get, right, or the value that you get, it far outweighs the cost that you incur. So I'm not sure if we can reduce the price further. SB Prep in our class, module 1 is completed now. While analyzing SIMCAT for QA chapter, should we leave those topics not covered in class now? Come back to those questions after completing chapter. Yes, that's a better approach. But see, if you remember something from school days or college days that will help you to understand that particular question, you can look at it. What I mean is, let's say now you're done QA module 1, which is largely numbers, arithmetic, etc. But there's a question from algebra. Okay. Now you have done algebra, let's say in school or in college. So you are in a position to understand what is being discussed in the solution. In that case, you can look at it. Otherwise, you can skip it and come back to it at a later point of time. Okay. Aman, GNEM with 897, how much percentile should I target for Shillong, Udaipur, MDI, IFT, etc.? Minimum of 95, that should be the aim, but to be on a slightly safer side, maybe a 97, 98, that kind of an aim should be kept. What is the generic framework we all should follow from today till CAT? Okay, a common recommendation is going to be, number one is, so I'll go section by section, starting with VRC. Number one is going to be read as much as you can. Maybe around 30-45 minutes, if you can do that. This 30 to 45 minutes can be either solving RCs or reading articles from, let's say, newspapers or magazines, or a combination of these two. Okay. And add a couple of VA questions like parajumbles, para completion, and all of that you practice. For DLR, maybe 3 sets a day, 2 to 3 sets a day, 4 sets a day sometimes. It's not necessary that you go topic by topic. And in fact, it's better if you do, let's say, I open DLR one topic, solve one set from it, then I move to another topic, solve one set from that. So That, in my view, is a better approach rather than you doing, let's say, all tournaments back to back. The third is QA. Pick a topic, do about 25-30 questions, but understand each and every question so that you can explain it to somebody. See, I don't trust anybody who says, I have done the question, but I'm not able to explain. Right? It means that you're not understood it. It's as simple as that. So if you can't explain to me a particular problem, it's very clear that you haven't understood it yourself. You maybe just was able to follow some steps, you arrived at the answer, but you haven't fundamentally understood it. So focus on understanding. Okay? So even if you do 30 problems a day, but understanding is there, it will be better than doing 50 problems with half understanding. So follow this. I think, as I said, it might take anywhere between 2 to 4 hours per day. Figure out how you can find that time. It could be replacing some activities that are not helping you. It could be compromising on a few other things in life, joy, for example. But see, it's just a matter of next 6 months, right? And after that, you will have your interviews and whatever, and that's a lot of fun phase to even be in. But currently, it's just going to be taking interest in the subject, sitting at one place, solving a lot of questions, analyzing your performance, and all of that. Take tests at regular intervals. Don't miss SIMCATs. Look at your SIMCAT analysis. Figure out a plan between the two SIMCAT as to what you are supposed to do. So if today I take a SIMCAT, let's say I've done very well in one particular area, but there's one area where I've done terribly. Before I take the next SIMCAT, I have to address that issue. I'll have to do maybe 50, 60 questions of that area before I come back. So that's what you will have to do. Sir G, profile was not good, Sir G. Go to IIT. Okay, maybe I missed that question, but anyway. Is it better to complete the syllabus before appearing for SIMCAT mocks or do both simultaneously? Both simultaneously. You will not be able to finish the syllabus before SIMCATs. What should be my study plan if I'm starting from scratch from June 1st? I almost just mentioned it. So go module by module and follow the thing that I mentioned. Graduating this year, did arts have no other option than to take a gap year? What courses should I do to justify it? Okay. See, if you cannot take up a full-time job, right, you should at least do an internship. If you cannot do an internship, then there are courses and certifications. So the priority order is very clear. If you're a graduate, taking up a job and alongside CAT preparation is the first thing. If you think that will not help you to prepare for CAT, as in the full-time job, you move to the second level, which is internship. If you think internship is also too time consuming, go to the third level, which is courses and certifications. Now, what courses and certifications to pursue depends on what you want to do in your MBA. So if you want to move towards MBA in finance, do some finance courses and certifications. If you want to move towards marketing, do something like, say, a digital marketing course, right? If you want to move towards, I don't know, something like data analysis, then do courses related to data analysis. So you figure out what is it that you want to do and do courses related. If not courses and certifications, or alongside courses certifications, you can do hobbies and interests. See, a lot of people think that that's useless, but it's not. For example, I can always learn a foreign language, correct? It's maybe not related to my job, my internship, and all of that, right? It's independent thing that I've done, but it's still okay. You may pick up, let's say, a musical instrument, correct? You may focus on physical fitness. And we had so many interviews this year where students said that I focused on physical fitness, and examples of people who have lost like 10, 15, 20 kg and all. So you can pick up something, right? One thing that is very close to me is running. So if you think, okay, I want to pick up running, I want to do some events, you can do that also. So there are n number of things that you can do as long as it fits into your story. Just because I am saying something, you don't pick it up. So don't pick up a musical instrument if it doesn't excite you. But if it excites you, you always wanted to learn a musical instrument. In this gap year, you can do that, and then you can talk about it in your interview. So that is how you should plan the whole thing. But priority order is clear. So full-time work, if that is not possible, then part-time work and internship. If that is not possible, then courses and certification. Be honest, business economics profile 8, 5, 10. How many marks target for IIM Lucknow? Okay. Firstly, nobody can answer that question because it is going to change year on year. You don't know how many people will take the CAT next year. What percentile requirement you will have because of that, we don't know. But in most cases, that 5 in 12th standard is going to hurt you. That I believe you already know. So you should be aiming for a higher percentile. Maybe a 99 percentile is what you can aim for. Okay? See, there are so many factors in the whole shortlisting thing that it almost meaningless to spend enormous amount of time thinking whether you will get a call or not. That's why you should do your job and let things happen. Your job is to prepare for the CAT, apply to B schools, create backup options. You do that. Whether a certain B school will call you or not, it's not in your control. And that's why you don't put in a lot of your energy and time into that. The other thing is also it gives you a lower ceiling sometimes. So for example, if I tell somebody, hey, somebody with your profile made it to a certain IM at 92 percentile, your entire thing gets conditioned to 92. It's anchoring effect that you will start then thinking of 92. But if I say okay 99, you will aim for a 99. So that's why aim for a higher value. How many hours we should put for analyzing SIMCATs? Typically for a SIMCAT, it can be like 3 to 4 hours, not more than that. Assuming you must have done maybe 25-30% of the questions at least from the whole lot. The remaining questions, I think 3-4 hours should be good enough. I'm a 989 female with 2 years work ex and interest. This is from Yesha. I'm 989 female with 2 years work ex and I'm interested in finance. I have offers from KGP, Kanpur, and Vizag. Should I choose one of them or should I drop for 26? Okay. Tricky to answer, honestly. I mean, see, either way, I mean, you don't know how your life will turn out, right? So I was talking to a student with similar sort of a situation. He's converted one of the old IMs, not ABC, but now he's thinking whether I should wait for ABC. Now the problem is that with CAT there is some bit of uncertainty. You never know exactly what is going to happen. So for example, if you got a certain percentile this year, will you get similar or better percentile next year? You don't know that, and that's the biggest issue, right? Profile wise, of course, you will have more points because you will have more work experience. But what will happen in CAT is a bit unknown. And that is why you have to, if you think, okay, the college that I am currently getting, if it was part of the original set of colleges that I was targeting. So let's say I started my entire MBA dream with this thing that I'm going to get into top 30 colleges of India. Now, if the B school that you've got right now is one of the top 30, you should join. Don't now change the target. But if you haven't made it to the top 30 and you think, okay, fine, I can still wait for one more year, I have a decent job in hand, I don't mind taking up another shot at it, then you should wait. So don't change the goal at this point of time. That would be my recommendation. So if you see, okay, IIT, KGP, Kanpur, Vizag, will it give me the outcome that I want to have? Then you join. But if that is not happening, then you can wait for one more attempt. How much hours to study in a day? Okay, there's no answer to that question. It depends. But for most candidates starting now, it could be somewhere in the range of 3 to 4 hours. And for somebody who has already done a bit of preparation, it can be about 1 to 2 hours. What's the ideal time for completing one chapter of quant? Interesting. So going through theory, solved examples is about 30-45 minutes. Depends again on the topic. Like geometry will take more time, but say on average about 45 minutes there. A class exercise would take you about 2 hours. Same for practice exercise. So that's 4 hours plus 45 minutes. Maybe a benchmarking test, roughly an hour again there. So you are looking at somewhere in the range of 5 to 6 hours to complete one topic. Okay. But see, for bigger topics, that number will be much higher. This from Vyoma. Okay. Is it better to cover the topic with maximum weightage in CAT rather than all topics for a 99 plus percentile? From now on till October end, everything with equal interest. In November, you can strategize a little bit. So see, again, when I was a student, right, there are 5 areas. You have to know what areas you are extremely good. And out of 5, you have to be extremely good at 3, minimum 3. So for me, it was numbers. When I was a student, now I've become pretty rusty, I would say. But when I was a student, any numbers problem you throw at me, 90-95% of the time, I would be able to solve it. So numbers, arithmetic, and geometry. In fact, these 3 were my strengths. Algebra also, I was like reasonably good. I would not say, but in a lot of cases, I would choose like a geometry question over an algebra question. P&C was not my strongest area. So I was reasonably good at it, but again, not like the strongest thing. I mean, I'll not bet my life on it. But out of 5, 3 areas is what you should identify and be very, very good at. But don't skip anything. Okay. Aloof, I am a national tennis player. Can I justify gap by saying that I did coaching and played tournaments to justify gap along with few courses? Profile is 997, BA Economics, female OBC, 26 grad. Okay, so firstly, a lot of things working in your favor. If you did coaching, then you say you did coaching. Okay, so don't make things up. If you're planning to say, okay, I want to coach, then you actually go and coach people. And you can talk about, okay, what sort of skills that you learned from that experience and all of it. It's still a very good answer to give in an interview. Somebody might still ask you, okay, why don't you take that up as a career? So you'll need a justification for that, which you can find at a later point of time. So if you believe that, okay, you don't want to work, maybe you graduated this year, yeah, as you said, you don't want to work, that's okay. But if you're planning to say, okay, I did coaching, etc., you should actually go and do it. Is it too late to start preparing now? No. You're not too late for anything in life. Okay, so no matter what it is, you can pick it up. Okay, see, you pick any skill, for example, right? So think of, let's say, swimming. Maybe some of you don't know how to swim. Can you pick it up right now? The answer is yes. So are you too late to learn swimming? No. There are people who started like 40, 50, 60 in terms of, okay, I want to do something. Maybe I want to go to the gym or I want to swim. I want to learn a new language. I want to learn how to cook. So you're never too late for anything. Okay. I am now 22. Is it too late? No, boss, nothing is too late. What are you saying? I am a Gen 777, 3 years gap. How will you have a 3 years gap and you're 22 years old? That's fundamentally something is wrong in the question. My 12th is 78%. Okay, slightly low, but it's okay. I mean, that's fine. That should not stop you from preparing for CAT and all, right? I'm preparing for SSC CGL, so I can make good score in CAT or not. Please reply in 777. See, with 777 profile, getting into some of the old IMs might be a bit difficult because they look at your profile. But new IMs, second generation, third generation, definitely possible. A lot of non IM great institutions are definitely possible. Like, I mean, you can definitely make it to say an MDI, IFT, all those things, right? So yeah, and since you're preparing for SSC CGL, it also has an overlap with CAT preparation. So you should definitely try. For an engineering student, is it justifiable to explore branding and marketing and show that in CAT interviews? Yeah, definitely. Why not? And most people do that. So anybody who wants to transition, they will pick up something which is related to what they want to do and then they will talk about it. So I had a student who wanted to move towards marketing. So he started a website, he started a YouTube channel, he was reviewing comics. So he did a lot of things that will help him to talk about marketing interest. So you can do that. I have joined IMS. Can I clear the CAT by covering only the modules they provide, or should I use some other books as well? No. So IMS material is good enough. You don't need anything else. In fact, on my IMS, you have so much content. Most of the students are not able to finish it. So you don't need anything else. I'm in my final year and placement. This is from Let's Start Now. I'm in my final year and placement in college will start from June. So should I focus on CAT or keep focus on placement? Both can happen, right? I mean, see, your placement preparation is what? Aptitude preparation and then technical interview preparation. Technical interview preparation is nothing but your engineering syllabus. So if you study your engineering well, you are anyway getting prepared for technical interviews. Regarding aptitude, your CAT preparation will help you. So focus on CAT prep. It will help you for your apti prep, and do your engineering prep well so that it will help you for your interviews. So it's not about prioritizing one over the other, honestly. I mean, both can coexist. My knowledge 25, can I convert FMS Delhi in this academic score, and what percentage is safe for me? It will be definitely, and the requirement will be very high. You will need maybe a 99 point something to get into FMS. So 99.345, that should be like the minimum aim that you keep if you're targeting FMS. This year I'm getting MA Economics at Delhi School of Economics, but I want to do MBA. Can I take a drop? CAT, is it risky, or join DSE? Many people say CAT is very risky. There's a dilemma. Okay, so Manas, couple of things, right? MA Economics is not MBA, right? So if you're interested in working in finance and economics, then it is still okay to choose it. But if you want to do an MBA, maybe you want to move towards marketing or consulting or strategy and all of those things, or operations, MA Economics is not for you, right? MA Economics is a highly specialized course. Somebody who is not keen on economics should not do it. And in that case, you wait and you gather experience, you try and do well on the CAT. Are there any ideal scores that one should get in the initial SIMCATs for a 99 plus percentile? No. See, because we have seen so many students not getting even 90 plus or 95 plus, eventually getting a 98, 99 plus. So there's definitely correlation between your SIMCAT scores and final percentile, but it's not like you have to target a certain score. I would aim for a bare minimum, maybe in each section. For example, if I can do 1/3 of the questions correct, that would be my first target. That how quickly can I reach there? That I'm able to do 1/3 of the question correctly. If 1/3 sounds too much, then maybe 1/4, which means out of 22 questions in quant, am I able to do 5 or 6 questions? In DLR, am I able to do one set correctly? So chase those numbers first, 1/4, and then keep 1/3 as a target. Can you explain different MBA programs that colleges provide? Well, it depends on the college. I mean, some B schools have only MBA, which is called PGP or PGDM, and so on, which is like a generic program offering multiple specializations or electives. Some B schools may have specific programs like, say, MBA in HR, MBA in business analytics, MBA in healthcare management or retail management, rural management, and so on and so forth. So it depends. I would say have a look at the B school zone. We have done like a pretty comprehensive coverage of B schools there. So if you visit bschoolzone.imsindia.com, you will find a lot of information about this. Cat free mock app name. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know where you can find free mocks, but we also have a program called Cat at Zero Fee. So what you can do is you can enroll for IMS CAT at Zero Fee program, which will give you a few free mocks. Is it okay to do MBA only from Blackie a bit late with work experience? Yeah, definitely. So see, for an Indian 2-year full-time MBA program, right, you can get in with even say 4 or 5 years of experience. Anything beyond 5 years of experience becomes a bit late for a 2-year MBA, in which case you should go for a 1-year full-time program like say an ISB PGP or an IM APGPX, etc., which will be more suited, because then you have people with higher work experience. Your experience of an MBA program will be better that way rather than going for a 2-year full-time. Is it okay to do an internship in a family business and reflect that in interviews, or is it not valid? See, if you're going to do something in family business, you might as well do full-time work there. I mean, what's internship in a family business, right? It's almost like, for a panelist, it's like you're doing time pass. So either you do full-time in your family business and show that as experience, in which case you have to give yourself an offer letter, you should have salary, you should draw salary every month, you have salary slips, all of the documentation is in place. See, family business is a very tricky space. I generally don't recommend people to join the family business, purely because it's difficult to justify in interviews. Because see, that's the easiest thing that you can do. If my father or my mother, if they have a family business, right, I don't have to do anything. it's like natural thing, right? I just ask them, okay, fine, can I work with you from tomorrow? They're like, okay, fine, come. Versus, let's say, you participating in campus placement or you competing in open market that I applied for like 50 jobs on Naukri.com, like 100 jobs on LinkedIn, and that is how I got my current job. And it's a completely different environment. It's an environment where I've never been, and I have to prove myself there. In family business, I don't have to prove myself, right? People treat you differently, correct? So that is the reason why family business is not the best thing to do from an MBA interview perspective. So if possible, find a job on your own and do it. If for whatever reasons that is not happening, then a family business is fine. You can mention it. At very few places, they have a very negative view on it. For example, NMIMS. NMIMS has clearly mentioned in the admission process in the last 2 years that family business will not be considered as work experience. So at places like these, you might have a problem. Okay, all right. We have spoken at length, so I hope this has helped you. It's been more than an hour. I didn't even realize it. Thanks for asking so many interesting questions and having a lot to discuss. So I'll just maybe take one or two questions and then we'll call it a day, because anyway, we'll have a similar session in the future. Mm, can you explain? Okay. Is it okay to do MBA for like? Okay, I've already answered this question. Any special tip for quants? I'm getting most of the question incorrect. Have started my preparation now. Is there sufficient time to it? Okay, so when you get a question wrong, right, Ram Vijay Patil, when you get a question wrong, try and identify what was the reason. One is because you didn't know how to solve it. Two, because you got stuck somewhere. Three, maybe you made a silly mistake. Fourth, maybe you ended up marking the wrong answer. You misread the question and things like that. So there are a lot of things that can happen. Correct. So that's why you try and go back and figure out what went wrong with that question. If you understand that thoroughly, next time the same question, you will not make a mistake. Correct? So I'll really spend time with my mistakes that are happening. I will be 28 this year. I have 3.5 years of work ex, 1 year gap plus COVID year gap. Will I be too old in my batch? So 28 is definitely on a slightly higher side, but see, there are people who get in at that age, 28, 29, graduate by the time they're 30, 31. So it's not a very big issue. But yes, I mean, you are the minority. You are part of the minority in your B school, right? You already have 3.5 years of experience. So by the time you start your MBA, it's going to be like maybe 4.5 years of experience. So somewhere you might get that feeling, but it's okay. It's not going to be a very big issue, I would say. There are certain roles that might become unattractive, like say FMCG sales, for example, where they generally people prefer freshers. So, but that's okay. If you, as long as you're not planning to get into FMCG sales, I don't see a problem with 3.5 years of experience. How is SIMSRI? Shall I take it or shall I take a drop for JB? This is from Tejas Deshmukh. Okay, so what's the difference between JBIMS and Sydenham? Right? Is firstly the legacy benefit that JBIMS has, which SIMSRI does not have. And SIMSRI started, I think, after 1980 sometime. So if I'm not wrong. So like 15, 16, 17 years, I think JBMS was like the only place in Mumbai where you could do management education. So they benefited from that being number one. So they were the B school to go to, correct? There were people at that point of time in the 1980s who converted some of the IMs but didn't go to IMs and preferred JBMS. That was like the stature of JB at that point of time. So the legacy benefit. Now, if you look at the fee structure, Sydenham is much lower than JB, but Sydenham average placement and JBMS average placement has a huge difference. And that again happens because of the alumni base where the alumni are at this point of time and so on. Quality of education wise, not, I would say some faculty members at JBMS are excellent, but a lot of them also teach at Sydenham. And there are some who are, I would say, pretty similar to what you would find at Sydenham as well. So the brand definitely makes some difference, but it's not that Sydenham will not give you good opportunities. I have seen some students getting very good opportunities. So it's okay to join if you believe Sydenham will take you to where you want to go. See, with CET, it's always tricky. You don't know again what is going to happen. So that's why a lot of people do that, right? Where they join Sydenham and then they take CET and they see if they get JB, which still can be done considering the low cost that is associated with Sydenham. But if you're planning to do that, then you should not tell anybody that you're planning to do it. Hyperfacts. I'm third year syllabus is done. I'm going to attend my first con mock tomorrow. I have already have VRC under control, but con anxiety. See, all anxiety is just a matter of, it will pass, right? So, first time you do something, it is going to be like a tough experience. The first speech that you ever gave in your life, the first presentation you made in life, everything led to some sort of anxiety. So it's okay. You will learn to live with it. All of these questions take me back to that favorite quote of mine from the ancient one from Doctor Strange, right? We cannot lose our demons, we can only learn to live above them. And I have kind of followed that principle as much as possible. That you can get better only with practice, there's no other way. Is it common that in initial phase it takes time to solve the questions? Yeah. I mean, when I was a student, I used to sit like 10-15 minutes also with a question. Because if you're not taking a test, you're just solving questions, why don't you sit for 10 minutes and try and really understand, okay, maybe you try 3 different approaches, it doesn't work. And now it makes you realize that, okay, these are the things that don't work. And there's a fourth approach. And that's how you solve this problem. That's the only way to get better at it. There is no other way. So spend time initially. If it takes more time, it's okay. You are not expected to solve every question in 2 minutes. Firstly, you're not expected to solve every question. Whatever you're expected to solve, there is no expectation to do it under 2 minutes. So take 3, 4, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is that you need, as long as you're not in a test condition. In test condition, I will take a call, boss. This is time consuming. I'm not going to touch it. I have converted PGP finance of IMK. Should I take it or go for CAT again? Currently complete 38 months of experience. No, IMK PGP finance is good. I think you should join. Work experience is necessary in an interview? No. If someone don't have any, so they'll not clear the interview? No, there's nothing like that. If you pick up any B school's batch profile, just look at the number of freshers, the percentage of freshers, almost like 30-40% freshers at most of the places. So work experience is not required. I have 2-year gap now. Should I search for internship or course? If internship, how long? If you have 2-year gap, the first preference is going to be take up a job. Take up a full-time job. Don't do internship or whatever. Just take up a full-time job. Okay. All right. So I think we have discussed everything that we could have in 1 hour, and we have exceeded that. So I'm going to stop in the interest of time. But if you have any questions, you can leave it as a comment, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining. Wish all of you all the best, and I'll see you soon. Right. So take care, and till we meet again. Okay. Bye.